Okay, so we got it out of the box. Again, this is the Weize 1200 pure sine wave inverter. Now from the front of it, you can see it's got 4 of the 110 volt AC slots. Now you need to remember that this is a 1200 watt inverter. So that means if you plug 4 things in here, all 4 of them, whatever you have plugged in, has to be under 1200 continuous watts. Okay. You can plug in one item into one plug that runs up to 1200 watts. Like if you're running a microwave or something like that, you'd want to unplug the rest of these and just use the one outlet for running something for like a microwave. But if all of the items that you're running off of it are under 1200 watts, you can run up to 4 items. It has the LED display up here, which we'll check out when we hook it to the battery. It has a USB slot on top up here. That's a 5 volt USB for charging anything that will run off a USB. But primarily these are used for things like you're charging up your phones, you're running your laptop, or other items that run off a USB. And then it also has this phone connection right here, and they send you the cord. And what that is, they send you the remote digital display, and they send you the phone cord, basically is what it is. They send you the phone cord, and what you can do is, so if you want to put this out like in a shed or something near your house, or out in the garage maybe where you're going to have your battery stored, then you can run this into the house using the phone cord. That way you don't have to go out to your garage to check on your inverter or check on your batteries. Really handy, because that way you can see it inside the house without having to go out and check on things on the in your garage or in your shed. So that's a handy feature. A lot of them don't include that. It's just the inverter. And they do include the instruction manual. And you want to make sure you read that before you use the system. Now, they also include nice bracket. And these are heavy-duty steel brackets that you can use to mount this either on a wall. It has the bolt holes on the back of it. You can mount it on a wall, or you could use these probably on a vehicle somewhere if you need to mount it, or in your camper or trailer or something like that. It's nice they include the brackets so you don't have to go find them. And they include all the screws. They include all the screws that you might need for attaching that. So they kind of thought of the things that you might need for this system, and they included them. That's nice. That's a good company that does that. They also include the battery leads. This goes from the inverter to the battery. You've got a positive and a negative. And, you know, those holes on there, probably adequate, I think, large enough. And it looks like this is probably 6 gauge wire on here. The leads are not very long. I would prefer longer leads, but they'll probably work for what we're doing. On the inverter, we'll just turn it around here, show on the back side. It has both the positive and negative connections. It has the covers that go over them. So you take these covers off, slide them up the wire, connect your wires in, slide them back on, and snap those over. That's just to prevent something from falling across those 2 connections and possibly shorting it out. It does have 2 of the fans to keep this unit cooled down. All right, so there it is. So there it is. You can see it. That is the Weize 1200 with 2400 watt surge pure sine wave inverter. And we're going to go ahead now and take this out, and I'm going to hook this up to my LifePo 4 battery, make sure that everything works. Okay guys, so here I've got the Weize 1200 watt inverter hooked up to my LifePo 4 400 amp hour battery. This is made by Enjoybot, and I just got this battery. I'm also testing it out. Like I said, I work with a lot of batteries, and this is hooked up right now. It's a 12 volt battery. And I've got my positive wire and my negative wire hooked into the back of this. Now, caution when you hook these up, hook the inverter wires up first. Make sure that you really tighten those down solid in the back of this inverter, because if they wiggle around, you could get a spark. That could possibly do damage to the inverter. So that's just a tip I'll give you. Same thing when you're connecting to the batteries. Connect it to one side, tighten it down really good. Now you should expect when you connect it to the battery on the other side, you will get a 1 spark out of it when you first touch it. Don't let that alarm you. That's normal. Okay, then you can go ahead and screw it down. But you can get that little spark when you first hook up anything to 12 volt. Make sure the unit's off, okay, and then turn it on. And you've got an LED display up here. And then I also hooked up the remote display because it's a little bit easier to read outside here in the light. And it says right now my battery is at 13.2 volts, and it is running at 120 volts. I don't have any watts going out of it, but we're going to run a couple of tests on it here with a couple of different appliances and tools, and we'll see how many watts, see if it's accurate and shows how many watts it's putting out. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Black & Decker skill saw, which I use all the time, something that I might use out here, and we'll turn this on and see how many watts it's using. And it says that used 350 watts. So it tells me how many watts I'm using. Now that's nice because if I'm using multiple appliances, then I can see if one appliance is using this much, I've got that many more watts that I can use from 1200 watts to plug in additional appliances. So that gives you an idea of how many appliances you can run at the same time. That's really handy. So now I've also got my vacuum up here. I'll turn it on. Okay, so now I'm running my vacuum. We'll see how many watts it takes. And it's taking 370 watts to run the vacuum. It's running both at the same time. Okay, so it will run both at the same time. 370 watts for the vacuum, about 350 watts for the jigsaw. And it tells me exactly how many watts I'm reading out. So I like that remote. That way you can put it out in a garage or a shed. Just run the remote in your house, because when the fan kicks on these inverters, they can be kind of loud. So you may not want it right in your house with you. That way you could put it outside in a shed in your garage and just run the remote in. That would be nice. Now this battery down here is made by Enjoybot. This is a 12.8 with 5,120 watt hours. Okay, this is a 5 kilowatt battery. You may also want to be looking at one of those. This is a 400 amp hour LiPo 4 with 5,000 cycles. That's how many times you can draw it down empty to full. It has 5,000 cycles to 80%, up to 80% DOD, which means that you could run this for at least 10 years, probably 15 years, maybe even 20 years, depending on how much you're using it, because most people are never going to drain a battery down this size every day. You're probably only going to drain it maybe 50%, and so you know it's going to last much longer. They're well made. These are IP65 rated batteries with the positive and negative cables on the top, and this is a 400 amp hour, which is something, if you consider the price for a battery like this compared to a large power station, okay, you can get twice to 3 times as much capacity out of a battery like this than you will out of even the very largest power stations. And this could be used in your garage. You can put this in your garage with your inverter, and then if you want to, you can charge these batteries up either from solar or another way that a lot of people use these, just charge them up from AC power, and that's what this is. This is an AC to DC charger. This is a 320 watt charger, 12 volt. Also made by Enjoybot, made by the same company that sells the battery. All you do is hook your positive and negative cables up to it, and then just plug this into a wall. It takes 320 watts. It will take about 20 hours to recharge this from completely empty, but you're probably not going to be using it all the way down and then recharging it. You can charge this up anytime during the daytime. What I would do is charge up at night when your electricity prices are lower, recharge your battery up, and then you've got this battery that can be used with an inverter, and this can be used as a power station for a workshop, your garage, or something like that, but also makes a really nice power station that you could use for a backup in the event of a power emergency. If the power goes out at your house and you need power, you can run a lot of things off a 1200 watt inverter, as you can see. You can run microwaves, you can run fridges, you can run air conditioners, you can run fans, you can recharge your phones using the USB plug. You can do all that sort of stuff. And Weize also has a 2,000 watt inverter. I got the 1,200 watt inverter, but if you want to get the 2,000 watt inverter, that would give you power to run even more appliances, more heavy duty appliances and things like that. 1,200 watt is a good small size. 2,000 watt if you're going to be running any heavy duty appliance. Okay, just quickly, I was going to show you how this Weize remote works for this inverter, and it has a really nice bright display. And you can see there it shows the volts. It shows the volts in the battery, which is 3.2 volts. It also shows the volts going out, 119, 120 volts, what it should be. And then right above that, it shows the watts. And if I had an appliance plugged in, it would show how many watts that's running out. And that other symbol up there just shows that it is a pure sine wave inverter. Really nice. I connect it to my wall inside. I'm going to keep my battery outside with my inverter. That way I don't have to listen to the fan when it's running. And I really like that remote. That's going to make it really handy because I can just walk over here and take a look and see how charged up my battery is. Very good, and I'm very glad they included that with the inverter. All right, again, that is the Weize 1,200 watt pure sine wave inverter. I'm using that with the Enjoybot LiPo 4 12 volt 400 amp hour battery. They also carry a 300, a 200, and a 100 amp hour battery. And I would also look at one of these 110 volt DC recharging units. that you just plug into your 110 ATC, and you can charge this battery up from your AC anytime you want, or you can charge it up from solar, and I will show in another video how this will be hooked up into my solar system. All right, folks, my review on the Weize, it works very well. I like this remote readout. That's really nice. I like the fact that it comes with the bracket so you can hook it to a wall or something like that. And it seems to be a well-made unit, and I hope it lasts a really long time. Have a great day, folks.